George Taylor, I'm Managing Director of Alcock's, the most well-known billiard table company in Australia. Henry Alcock arrived in Melbourne in 1853 and shortly thereafter set up a little cabinet making shop in Fitzroy. They've been here in Melbourne making billiard tables for 160 years. Today, most of the traditional major clubs have a billiard room, and the billiard room features an Alcock table. We are producing a product that stands quite happily on the world stage. This game is so demanding that precision is a very, very important factor. It has an important bearing on which timbers are selected for the making of a billiard table. It has a very important bearing on the jointing of those timbers as the table is put together. It has a very important bearing on the way we treat the issue of the billiard table slate. We have developed ourselves machinery particularly focused on the question of making sure that the billiard table slate is ground and honed to a higher level than you'll find anywhere else in Australia. The cushion work must be carried out so that the height of the cushion is exactly what is required for the size of the ball. The pocket openings of the cushions have also got to be adhered to strictly. Even the cloth is fitted in the traditional way, which is the correct way if you're going to play a high level or a championship level of English billiards or snooker. Our family company, which is Australian owned and operated, is producing a level of product that not only is regarded as the best in Australia, but is regarded highly right throughout the billiards and snooker world.
It's 30 years actually to this year since I won my first world title in Lura in New South Wales. So it's very nice to be back, yeah, it's lovely. Yeah, the tables in the room are fantastic. They're probably the best that we've played on as a group of tables for a long, long time. Very consistent tables, all of them, you know, lovely. Well, Matthew, he's multiple-time Australian champion, great player. David Causier, wonderful player, made a 600 yesterday in a 40-minute game. It's incredible. Peter Gilchrist's good. You know, Devaj Harrier's good. You know, there's no easy games really. Once you get to the last 16, last 8, it's very tough. Well, I'm starting to hit a bit of form. I mean, I'm getting a bit old now for the concentration side of it, but yeah, it's going all right, you know. I don't know. There's a few players capable of doing it. You know, it is odds against. I know it is, because it's a concentration factor more than anything to get to 1,000. Because I know it takes a long time. So, but no, it's doable. It is doable, but again, you got to be right on the day, you know.
Thank you. Don Richter to break.
Good afternoon, viewers. We're back again on the pit table, covering the match between David Causier and Don Richter. And David started proceedings with a timely fluke in the top corner pocket, attempting the cannon. And I'm joined in commentary today by Robert Hall, one of the top seeds from England for the World Billiards Championship. Rob competed in the World Open in the lead up to this as a warm-up, and he'll be playing later on this evening. So welcome, Rob, to the
Thank you
commentary
very much.
position.
See, I've got a nice match for my first go at commentary in the box. Commentation on probably the hardest man to predict which shot he's going to play. Mr. Causier, aka the Cyclone.
Dave, of course, had the very impressive win in the World Open yesterday over Dvaj. It was a very, very closely fought match that Dave managed to pip at the post by 7 points.
Yeah, that was a fantastic match. I think if there was another minute on the clock, Dvaj could have stolen that. Talking about the World Open, Dave's 655 break in these first group match, I think it was, at the Yarraville Club. There's been discussion between the players whether that could be a record break in the time it was made in the modern era of the game. We had it at about 38 minutes for the 655 points, which is just phenomenal scoring.
It was relentless. He was on the adjoining table to one of my qualifying matches, and it was most distracting. His calls, you're struggling to get 40, and you hear 200.
I was a couple of tables away, and I was aware of what's going on. The crowd starts building around 300-400 mark.
Yeah, indeed.
Six.
And David's a very exciting player, but as Rob alluded, very unpredictable. Plays a very open around-the-table game. Very entertaining to watch. He can play all top of the table, as indeed can all of the top players in this tournament. But he's not necessarily obsessive about it. He's quite happy to come away and play the hazard game or the cannon game, and his shot making is of a different order at times.
Yeah, I think his level of cuemanship's exceptional. Technically, he actually doesn't look like the class of player he is, but he's got that much confidence in his own cueing ability that it allows him to often leave himself shots that other players wouldn't, with ultimate confidence he's going to get the shot. So it makes him a very, very dangerous player.
Yeah, he has some of these unique mannerisms as well. When you watch your cueing after his cue's gone through, he moves his head sideways. Not the sort of thing you would coach someone to do, but it certainly works for Dave. He repeats all of the time. He's very, very consistent with his potting, so it doesn't affect his accuracy in any way, shape or form. And indeed, at the top level in cue sports, there's been a number of players over the years in billiards and in snooker who have unusual mannerisms, but the ultimate test is whether the balls go in the hole. So
yeah, that's right. He's, like I say, his body movement comes after he's struck the cue ball, so it doesn't affect his cue action or accuracy of delivery of the cue. So you can do what you want once you've hit the cue ball. Very much like the Alex Higgins of, snooker greatness. He was an awful lot of body movement, but that final delivery of his cue was arrow straight, which obviously is the important thing.
Indeed. And in the modern game, of course, you've got Judd Trump, who addresses the cue ball off to the side and comes around the corner slightly.
Yeah,
But it works for him. He's number one in the world. Who's going to argue with him? So
there's an awful lot of players that don't actually address the cue ball where they're going to hit. A lot of players address lower than what they strike. I'm one of them. But
do you do it, Rob, as to locate the middle of the cue ball? Jimmy White used to actually cue down the bottom to locate the middle of the cue ball when he was striking it, but
no, I think it's habit. I play a lot of shots with drag and often check side.
Yep.
So I think locating the middle and striking middle of the cue ball is of little importance in billiards, to be honest, because in excess of 90% of your shots are played with some sort of side. So it's much less important in billiards than snooker to be able to strike dead centre. So Dave's in good position here. He's got a floating white. So he'll be playing the reload cannon after this. He'll pop this red and then play the reload cannon to bring it back to the spot.
I believe you were the exception to some of the other players in this tournament in that you weren't part of the Teesside Boys League at the start. I believe David and Peter Gilchrist and Michael came from that school.
That's right, yeah. I've had a lot of experience playing against the players that came from that league.
70?
I'm about 100 miles, 150 miles south of Teesside. But there's a lot of, obviously, the top guys, Causiers, Gilchrist, Russells, Chris Shutt, Lee Largan, all world champions came from that boys billiard league. But there's also an awful lot of very, very good, probably call them amateur players from the Teesside area that play in the domestic ranking events in England. A lot of them 200 break players and more. The local, what we call the local leagues, pennants up in the Teesside area, the strength and depth within those leagues is exceptional. Very high percentage of those players are 100 plus breakers.
And has billiards seen a resurgence in England? I know that a lot of the top players in the world come from either England or India. There are a few coming out from Myanmar as well, which not everyone is familiar with, but has it seen a resurgence? I recall seeing a video that Jack Carnham did at one stage where he was lamenting that it had gone into a bit of decline at one stage.
Yeah, I think it's holding its own. I don't think there's been a resurgence, but I'm not sure it's on the decline too much. Maybe in the local leagues it's struggling a bit, but it's just so important to try and get young blood and the new players involved. And the problem with billiards is it takes so long to master.
Indeed.
It's a very long apprenticeship to become a very good player.
Well, unlike snooker, which you can watch snooker on TV and pick up the rudiments of most of the positional play and table management, and even to a great extent the shots that you're playing, so much of billiards involves knowledge of the game ahead of time, even before you start trying to assemble the technical skills to put that knowledge into practice. So.
Yeah, that's correct. You've got to play billiards at a high level, you've got to be a certain level of acumen, and that itself takes a long time to become proficient at. It's great, the spotted balls now though, for somebody learning the game in this era of billiards, the spotted balls makes a vast difference. I do quite a bit of coaching back in the UK, and from a coach's point of view, it's made it a lot easier when describing how side aids the shot.
Oh, I'd have to agree with you 100% there, Rob. I coach in South Australia, both billiards and snooker, and to me the spotted balls are a godsend in a sense, and also the enormous amount of video coverage we're now getting, courtesy of guys like Dan Lynch, who covers so many various cue sports in Australia. The fact that this resource exists on the internet means that we get the opportunity to demonstrate to people in a visual format what's required of the game and how it's played and why it's played in those particular shots, whereas in the past, really if you didn't have top quality players to learn from, the only resource you had were books, some of which were written in the 1800s with totally different conditions, and often with only rudimentary explanations of what was required.
Yeah, that's right. The different ball material and composition of the balls made them play very different to what we've got these days. Thicker cloths, slower cloths. It seems the conditions today with the current balls and the current cloth that the balls are thrown wider than they ever have done before. So the diagrams in the old books written by all of the past greats, I would say, I've got books of some form or another. The spotting of the cue ball for long losers, etc., is pretty much out of the window.
And on the subject of which, he's just missed the cannon from a distant by a whisker.
There we go, top
And
of the
look at
table
this.
in one shot.
Unbelievable. He sees it straight away. There you go.
It's early morning in the UK at the minute, but from social media, I know there's been a good following from the Teesside area. Very happy that Dave's got lots of support coming from that area online. Some of the lads over there really do breathe billiards, fanatical about it. So now we'll play the cannon off the cushion to reload the white to level high with the red.
Did you get coached in the first instance, Rob, when you were learning to play billiards, or did you?
Yes, I did when I was from the age of about 14 in my local area.
Did you start with billiards, or were you a snooker player or pool player beforehand?
About the same time as snooker, really. I'd not played a great deal of snooker before going to the coaching scheme that I went to, and I was only after a few weeks of being there playing snooker I got introduced to billiards, and I didn't have a clue what it was when I started, not a clue.
Because speaking as a coach, if I get a junior that's a complete novice to cue sports, I try to introduce them very early to at least some of the basic skills in billiards. I think it's a much less cluttered environment, and it allows them to focus on cuemanship in the first instance, and also because of if you ignore the positional considerations, the generosity of the half ball losing hazard means that ranked beginners can actually start having a modicum of success very early in the piece in terms of scoring, at least.
Yeah,
So
that's right. There's You know, if you're just playing half ball enough to actually get the cue ball into the pocket and not worrying about the object ball, there's quite a wide margin for error on contact.
Of course, at this level, when you watch the likes of Dave and Michael and yourself playing, the level of accuracy required because of positional considerations is every bit as much as what's required in snooker play, and in fact in certain patterns of play there's the requirement basically to not just control one or two balls but all three of them at the same time, whereas in snooker it's all about positioning the cue ball. The object ball ends up in the pocket. It doesn't matter what pace it goes in there. So it's a very much more technical and in a lot of ways artistic game.
That's right. I always say snooker's sort of one or two dimensional, whereas billiards is much more. There's a lot more to consider. It's more of a thinker's game. When I'm practicing at home, talking about the long losers, etc., I practice the long losers, but I don't give myself what I would call a success or a hit or a miss, unless obviously the cue ball goes in the pocket and I get the object ball within about a 6-inch square on the table, which is predetermined by myself. So if I don't get both aspects of that shot absolutely right, I'll play the shot again.
Yep.
Because in billiards, it's more often than not, it's a positional mistake which will cost you the break, and which will cost you. There's not many simple shots missed at billiards. You only leave yourself a difficult shot if you've played a poor positional shot. So.
I think. Well, I thought he was playing indeed indirect cannon. I think it's also noticeable that in a lot of ways the shots available in snooker are effectively a subset of what is available in billiards. You play the full range of shots and then some in billiards, and now some shots that just don't exist in snooker that you see on a regular basis with billiard players.
Quite a risky shot there from Donny, yes. Oh, he's got it up far enough. If he had left that short, that was going to be quite a difficult position from there. In this position, all he should be thinking is how he's going to get the yellow ball into position.
See, that's an unusual shot to play as well. I mean, if that falls in...
Quite unlucky. This looks thinner than half ball, but I might be wrong.
No, I think you're right. It is thin and half ball, and he's played it thin and half ball.
Okay, so we'll push the yellow onto the red, and hopefully the red will come back off the top cushion and cannon the white. Nice shot.
He's got that. He's secured top of the table with one shot there. Which
see now, if he just stuns this red in, or just stuns this red in dead, he'll leave himself the position for the reload cannon. See if he plays that. He should be able to get behind the yellow now. Bit of right hand side. In off reds, leave the drop cannon. I would tend to play these with a bit of drag. Just means you can hit the cue ball harder, but at the same time kill some pace by the time it reaches the red ball here. It's a bit more of a comfortable way of playing it.
Although you wouldn't expect... Oh, he's thrown it wide.
Not sure if that was a bad contact, because that seemed to throw very wide.
You wouldn't expect the tables as they've been prepared to have any rolls on. Nevertheless, it's always a risky proposition to play at dead weight, as you were alluding to earlier, with playing drag shots allow you to play the stroke at a more comfortable pace, and more importantly, it means the cue ball's travelling quicker for quite a lot of its travel.
That's
Tends
right,
to stay on a straight line.
It's a nice little trick for playing on a table. If you've got a table with a slight drift on it, it's always nice to play the long distance shots with a bit of drag. It will hold its line for much longer.
10.
So slightly thick into that cannon for Dave. Red top cushion, white.
12.
So already Dave will be thinking what he needs to do with that white to get that into position.
Now, in this situation, would you likely leave yourself low, Rob, and push the white into drop cannon position, as
I think
looks
so
like
from
what
there,
he's
yeah.
doing? I mean, it was available as a loser from in hand, but there's certainly easier and more direct way to get there.
If we were talking about a less competent player than Dave, then in that case, it's not a bad policy to take the 2 off the spot and then play the in-off. So if your position on the white is no good, you've always got the long loser from the middle spot. But Dave's obviously playing with confidence, so he knows he's going to be good.
And of course, the long loser from the middle spot is a bread and butter shot for every billiard player. It's something you have practiced thousands of times, and should be confident of getting it 99.9% of the time. So.
Absolutely. Although on these tables, they are catching 1 or 2 players out.
I think
Throwing wide and sliding cushions. So.
I was going to say, I indeed was one of them when I first came on here. I've never played on a superfine cloth before. I was absolutely amazed by how wide the ball threw. In the first instance, you have to adapt very, very quickly. So
Yeah, that's right. Well,
that is unusual.
Call the police. It's Mr. Pot.
And in the short time we've been talking of other pleasantries, Dave has already managed to pull out about a 160-point lead. And that is one of the things that's so difficult to take at times when you're first learning to play billiards. When you're playing a very capable player, you'll be spending a lot of time in your chair watching very good billiards. And when you do get
Yeah,
opportunities,
that's right.
you come in stone cold often. It's character building.
When you're coming back after a long break, if somebody makes a big break against you, you're just hoping for a comfortable leave. The last thing you want to do is come to the table with a tricky position. Seems to be twice as difficult when you're cold out of your seat.
Now the red's outside the scoring zone here for a long loser in top corner pocket, so you have to manoeuvre the white ball into a position where hopefully you can drop it down behind a spot at some stage to leave a drop cannon if you can.
There's a big threat of a 4-shot here.
I was just looking at that. Will he have spotted and play it thick deliberately?
He's missed that because he's worried about the 4-shot.
Yep.
In that instance, I would spot narrow and play with check side.
Yep.
Send the white off the top cushion and side cushion back towards the red.
And for players who aren't familiar with the intricacies of billiards, the use of side spin is prominent in billiards for several reasons. In certain instances, it can be used to effectively widen pocket openings for shots where the pocket is relatively closed from tight angles. But it's also used by the better players to manoeuvre both the object ball and the cue ball that was used to strike it. By using either running side or check side, you can alter the path of both of the balls to advantage.
Yeah, that's where side at the top of the table is used. It's purely to manipulate angles and very rarely to do with actually scoring the points for the particular shots.
I noticed that all of you guys, when you're playing little soft cannons, also almost always use a little bit of running side to make sure that the balls don't cover, they split apart. The analogy that somebody once used was it's like trying to place your finger on a spinning top. It tends to jump away from your finger, and the ball does that from the second object ball quite
Yeah,
often.
that's very much correct, yeah.
18.
So he's getting there. It's not quite perfect at the top, but
20.
Okay. So we'll play the cannon here.
23.
Again, a little bit of right hand side.
25.
So slight covered, so
27.
just hoping for a touching ball there, I would say.
2 cushion cannon. Is there a chance of a double kiss here? A triple kiss. I would never have seen that.
He's left a double kiss cannon. Don's got to play this full red. It's almost like a Walter Lindgren break, this.
A rail nurse. I think that's what the Americans call it. Would he play this with check side as well as full to push the red further along the table? While he
He's
gets the kiss
hitting it
cannon?
too full. I don't think. I think he's got to try and play it dead weight to leave the same shot. But I don't think the red's going to move very far at all.
Okay.
Doesn't like the look of it.
Surely he's not playing the in off. I think he is. He is. I think I like your shot better.
From the second camera angle there, I didn't realise that the red was so far away from the cushion there.
2.
So Dave will go in off the rest, this red. Probably leave it near the pyramid spot somewhere for the cannon. Oh no, he's pushed it harder. Pretty sure he'll play this to leave the cannon. Much slower than your usual long loser.
8.
So back at the top here, no problems.
Ten.
There's one thing about Dave that's probably different to a lot of the top players. He doesn't try to be too accurate on the drop cannons. A lot of players would have played that last drop cannon from a slightly wider ring side. Try and get the white in behind the spot. But he seems to be happy just to get it in the rough area of the red spot.
18.
To be sorted out at a later time. So the white there is getting quite close to that top cushion. I would say the next cannon is going to have to try and do something about that. He's not a big fan of postman's knot.
It seems to be fairly characteristic of most of the English players. They seem to have more interest in playing floating white than postman's knot.
I think it's what we've seen growing up and learning the game, to be honest. Probably the best postman's knock player from, well, the relatively modern era of the game would have been Norman Dagley.
Yeah.
Who was an exceptional cueman. And one hell of a character as a guy as well. I never met him, but I've heard some fantastic stories about Norman. Particularly in the bar late at night.
Well, Dave's got that white very close to the cushion at this stage. It'd be interesting to see if he plays a little bit of postman's knock or whether
I think
he'll
he's been
try to
forced
move
into it here.
Yeah.
If he tries to retrieve that, there's a big chance of the double kiss and then the cover, so. So that's come a little bit higher than he wanted, but
He's shifted it
Yeah.
there from main line, so
that all came about because the white got too close to the top cushion. So he's actually out of position a little bit here.
it's noticeable that David doesn't even attempt the very, very close control that you see Mike Russell employing when he's playing floating white at the top of the table. Dave seems to be quite content to move the ball around, and if he needs to go back into hand, he's very happy to do that as well.
That's right, yeah. His
Confident in his own ability to get back.
game's pretty loose at the top. Extremely effective.
It's reminiscent of the stories you read about Willie Smith, who was never particularly obsessive about top of the table or nursery cannons. He was quite content to play the all-round game to great effect.
That's right. I mean, you read some of the stats on Wally Smith and the breaks, and take into account that he didn't play nursery cannons particularly and not top of the table. Exceptional player to make some of the runs that he did.
Indeed. A 2,000 break by all round the table play is unbelievable. So,
Yeah, it's tough to comprehend doing that, to be honest.
and in the days of ivory balls as well.
So it's still fighting position here a little bit. So he's left the cannon white on and off the top cushion. Try and get it back behind the spot again.
And he's approaching the point where he's going to be playing the balk line warning in the next 2 or 3 shots. So ideally he'll like to recover top of the table position, so he's able to manoeuvre the red into a position to be able to cross the balk line when required.
Dave will cross the balk line with ease. He's got such a strength in potting.
That's interesting. He must be very straight here. Pancake style.
Yeah, he's left this very thin. I'm not sure he's even going to play it, to be honest.
He's played the enough.
Okay, if this gets high enough, he might. No, he's not going to. Thought he might have tried to pop the red thin and go in and out.
As you said earlier, very hard player to predict.
Yeah. He's got enough points to spare here, though, to give himself another chance.
Is he going to do it there? He did.
I've noticed the usual way of crossing the balk line would be using 5 cushions from a red that's not on the spot. Players are finding that difficult with the sliding cushions. There's been a lot of 6 shots happening where the cue ball comes around and goes back into the top pocket.
Yeah, we saw a lot of that in Surav's match when he played George Chamis earlier on. He played the balk line crossing a couple of times and managed over about 27 feet of travel to find a 3-inch pocket. So
yeah, I watched the last half an hour of that match live, and I had a bit of a laugh with Sarov after the match. So Dave just missed there after covering himself. Just missed the screw cannon off the cushion.
And already David's built a commanding lead with within the first half hour. He's 290 points in front.
Looks like Don's got the enough yellow here. Going to be quite a tricky shot to leave this out of balk, I would say. See what happens. Oh no, that's okay. I thought it was a little bit wider than what it was.
Has he left the middle pocket? It looks like he has a middle pocket enough. I can't tell from here.
Yeah. Just looking at the long loser.
It looks like he's a little wide for the middle pocket enough, so he's looking at the long loser option here. And he'll be trying to push the white off 2 cushions to leave it in drop cannon position.
Quite a tough loser from this position on these cloths. Be very careful. That's a nice shot.
That's very well done. It's probably left the white a little bit wider and closer to the side cushion that he likes, so he may have to play the stun off into the middle pocket and bring the white around off in and out of balk off about 4 cushions.
It's either that or the long Jenny. Just depends how far past that pocket the ball is. The way he's cueing it could be long Jenny.
Yeah, it could be long Jenny. Yeah, it is. You've read it well.
8.
Just play that at a nice pace. Should always leave a drop cannon from there. It's got the risk of the pot yellow here as well, so.
Do you think he might go in off white and push the... No, it looks like he's coming down the right-hand side as we see it. There is a risk, as you say, of potting the white.
That's a good shot. So win off red here, back up towards the middle pockets. It should go in off red. Push it towards the top cushion to leave the drop cannon next shot.
He's not playing the cannon, he is. Looks like he is.
Unless it's too wide for the mid-pocket loser, but not sure this is the right shot.
No.
I think he's got to pot the red, try and screw out to the middle of the table to leave in off yellow from around the pyramid spot.
He's addressing. Yeah, it looks like a stun at the moment. And that's what he's done. He's actually screwed it to the
So that's a
pretty
good
much
shot.
as you said.
So a nice little in off here to leave a drop cannon.
He's got that a little bit thick.
Yeah, it's a bit hard. So he's left himself a long Jenny, I think. Again, if he plays this well, he should leave a drop cannon from the opposite side of the table.
He caught the side cushion a little bit too far out and with a bit too much space for the side to actually bring it into the pocket.
Must be a forcing cannon from Dave. It's purely concentration on pace of the red on that shot. He's trying to get the red back onto the top slate.
Is the spot clear, do you think? Looks like it may be. He might have top of the table here if he manages a pot. He's missed the pot. It must have been clear spot.
Just cue across that slightly. Just not like Dave. So he could get to the top of this. A run through cannon. Nice gone, cush cannon. Well, that's a nice enough one done. It's left the perfect position. If he plays this at the correct pace, he should end up with the red coming up to the yellow ball. Yeah, he's underhit that. He needed to be much harder on that. Okay, he's got a difficult shot now. Yellow cushion, red. That's pretty good. He's recovered well. Got himself into a spot of bother there. He's back in good position. Just overhit that slightly. I think he played for the pot red. So this is a thinning off. Check side, quite a difficult shot. Also the possible pot red in the middle off his. There we go, he's got the six.
Caught it, correct.
So this is definitely a shot you'd want to drag. Yellow to red. Trying to keep all three balls on the top slate to give you a chance of in-off.
He's looking like he's lining up to push it in and out of balk and just stun across to the red. And that's what he's done.
He's actually played that well, he's brought them together. Must have been a bit wide just to drop onto it.
Yeah.
That's actually a very good shot from Don. So needs to play the run through cannon here, push the yellow back to the spot.
He's done it.
Caught it a little thick.
Play a little soft stun or screw cannon to push it into drop cannon position.
So we'll play this, hopefully send the red over to the right hand top pocket as we see it. Oh, it's a nice little double kiss there. I think he's left himself the thin in off yellow. That's a bit thin. Dave will be panicking now. He's only 250 in front. He's never happy unless he's 800 in front. So Don's in good position now. He's taking these few points well. He may choose just to play this thin and slow to leave the drop cannon, or he could play it thicker and send it back out.
He's played it down the table to leave a drop cannon. He took your second option there, Rob.
This shot with the way the cushions are sliding, it's very difficult to get this yellow in behind the spots. So the first cushion, the side cushion, is sliding a lot. So it's not too bad. It's done probably as well as you could do there, without making the shot a lot more difficult than what it was. So a gathering cannon here.
He split them apart.
Hampered slightly. So Dave went for the thin, sharp in off there. Just caught it slightly thick.
We're going to have a change of commentary at this stage. We've got Robbie Chilcott from Tasmania, or should I say ex-Tasmanian. That's a turncoat. He's left Tasmania and come to the North Island apparently. He's based in Victoria now. So we're getting Robbie to take over. He'll be joining Rob Hall in the commentary position for a while.
So straight away Dave's potted the red. He'll now play enough white to try and get it out of bulk. Looks like it's slightly wide. It's a bit, he's worried here about going in and out of bulk and possibly putting the white back into bulk. He's played at a good pace. That's a good shot. It's unlucky just to flick the red there. It's cost him position. So I think he'll play half ball white here with maximum right hand side off the cushion. He's got the screw back here down the side rail, screw on right hand side. Just fighting the balls a little bit here. Stun cannon, which is not ideal in billiards. It's fallen okay for Dave. He's left the half ball cannon.
14.
He's just riding his luck here a little bit. That's fallen nice again. And now he's back in position.
16. 19.
So he's purposely dropped that short of this middle pocket, I think. Oh no, it's just come far enough. He'll be looking for a drop cannon.
22. 27.
So he's in good position now.
31.
Just back to perfect top now, Rob.
Yeah, he's going to be looking to score heavy. He's just been off the table for a few minutes there. By Don had a
39.
little run of points. There's one thing Dave doesn't like, it's being sat in his chair.
I don't think Don likes sitting in his chair either, Rob.
Unfortunately, he's going to be doing a lot of that in this
I
match.
think so. I'm quietly barracking for Don. He's a fellow Victorian. So I was hoping Don will make a good account for himself, but yeah, he might be in a bit of strife here with Dave just going about his business.
Still fighting the white a little bit. It's still a little bit closer to the rail than what he would like. He'll be trying to retrieve that, I would say, as soon as he can.
How many world events have you played in now, Rob?
Oh,
Or world championships, I should say.
I've played probably in the last 9 or 10 world championships. They usually, well, up until this year, they've mainly been at Leeds in the UK, which is great for me because I only live an hour's drive away from Leeds. So Dave's just fouled there.
If foul, so Don can either have them re-spotted or he can play him from there. What would you do in this situation, Rob? Would you play him from there? It's probably not such a bad thing if you can get that yellow
I probably
ball.
wouldn't play them from there, but because Don's been frozen out a little bit, he's gone for the easy option and the easy score. He's dropped that short, which is a good reason why I wouldn't have played that enough.
So you'd be forced to do a long Jenny by the looks of this.
That's right.
I think he played a good one earlier, got himself in good position. He just played another one.
Yeah, that's very good. He's retrieved that. He took a bit of a risk there, actually playing the original and off one close to the pocket. It's quite difficult to control it from that position.
Oh,
Let's
I'm not
cut
sure
that
what's
from-
happened there. Don's hit that way too thin. I can't explain what happened there. Maybe Don might tell me later on tonight after his game.
I think he's tried to play the cannon off the cushion to get the white closer to the red. He might have been better just playing it direct. Dave's in good position now.
So you're going to use that.
He's overhit that slightly.
He
His
has
left is
it
a
a
bit
bit.
thin. But he might play this slow to leave the drop, which he has done.
Yeah, you've had a number of World Championship games, Rob, and I'm here sitting in my first one ever. So it's just
That's
great to
good.
be part of, mate. And you've got to start somewhere at the ripe old age of 48.
It's fantastic to the support this event's got from obviously the Australian players, but what surprised me when the final entry list was complete, was the amount of UK players that have made the journey.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone was expecting that amount of guys to make the long trip over. But
It's a good effort because it's a long way from the UK to down under. I was speaking to a couple of Englishmen on the lift today, and they said they're just getting over the jet lag now.
Yeah, it's a long way. It's about 22 hours flying time. And the 10-hour time difference, it takes a good few days, but I think everyone's just about there. And Dave actually came very late, didn't land until midday on Saturday, which is only less than 24 hours before his first match in the World Open. So
Right, okay.
not that that affected him, because he made a 600 break.
He did, and he went on to win the World Open just last night with quite a big crowd, they tell me. I was surprised to hear that.
I think they said there was about 120, 130 in last night. I came in to watch the second half of the match and couldn't actually see the table because there was that many people in the room, which is fantastic to get some crowds. They've sold, I think they sold all the tickets for the week passes for the members of the public and members of the club to come in and watch. So
Yeah, it's great to have all that support, especially in Australia. You know, if they support it, they might come out here more often, which would be great for Australia. But,
I think they've put a lot of effort in. I mean, the length they've gone to organise and get the event onto this standard in this venue. Streaming with Dan Lynch is obviously fantastic. I've met Dan in Melbourne before for the Pacific International. I've played in that the last 2 years. I think it's the future for promoting the game. Everything seems to be going live streaming in all aspects of entertainment, so
yeah,
it's the next best thing to TV, to be quite honest.
this is great coverage. The angles that you can see coming up now.
Yeah, if you get the
You know,
multi-camera system running, it certainly gives it an extra depth.
63.
So Dave's going along here.
Yeah,
This whole match, he hasn't seemed to get the white quite where he needs it. He's been resting it a lot. So he'll try and lift it off the cushion here for sure. So
he may be smothered for the pot there, is he?
he's actually
No,
played that with a
no.
bit of side. That's a good shot.
Yep. Oh. The
Don's going to be delighted with this.
scoreboard.
He's back to
He's
0-0.
back. He's on. Dave Causier only 5 points in front now with the scoreboard. So.
I'm not sure if the scoreboard on the table is also saying 0, but if it is, I suggest they'll stop the clock until that is sorted. I think Dave's noticed
I
it.
think before the scoreboard, Dave Causier was on around the low 60s, so the balk line crossing rule will come into play soon.
He's crossed the balk line.
Yeah.
He's gone for the 5 cushion.
So I would say,
He's got to be close to the corner pocket here.
Without seeing the break, I would estimate he would be in the low 80s. Just push that up for a half ball. Oh no, you've gone high enough there, Rob, do you think? Or
Yeah, he's held it for the cannon. So it's quite a good cueing off the rail, that was. Made that pot look easy. You might have to play for the enough here. He's played it for the cannon again. He's got to catch this quite thick. Yeah, just caught it.
Yeah.
Yellow to red.
You just bring that white out a little bit, I'd imagine. There we go. And back high on the white, and then drop it back down again. And
Yeah, he's got them back
so
now.
it continues.
No, that's this comes from the room. So yeah, Paul accidentally put the roof down. So we've got to find Neville now. Fix it. Stop the puppets and that sort of. I'm not sure if someone, I think Paul's keeping the score.
So we're not sure exactly what break Dave is on, but I'd imagine he'd be getting close to 100 now. If not, he would have made it by now, I would think. We're still having issues with the 95. There we go. So that 98. This will bring up 100.
No, 130.
130 is it? There you go. I'm thinking if Dave keeps in this position, he might be here for a little while yet. How have you gone today, Robin? You had a match today or tonight?
Yeah, I've not played yet
Yeah.
in the championships themselves. So 8 p.m. tonight.
8 p.m.
Which is 10 a.m. UK time.
Most of the UK will be getting up for that match, will they, Rob?
I think there'll be a
Or
few
Lillian?
people watching it when they should be working. So Dave's now got his good top. He's really got them where he wants them now.
So Dave will just pot this, go high, get on the white, push it back down, and he'll be perfect top again after this shot. Probably use a bit of running side there, like he did, push that white ball up.
He's got them go now. He's picked up the
then,
pace as well. Once he's got in perfect position, so
So Dave can actually pick up the pace, can he? As if he's not fast enough as it is, Rob.
it's hard to believe, but he can. A few years ago, I watched him win the British Open in Bradford, back in the UK, and he was about 170 behind with 9 minutes on the clock, and he ran out and won. I think he made, I want to say like 178 in about 9 minutes to win the match by a handful.
Well, for those that don't know, with the World Open, for the World Open event, David scored in 45-minute match 655. So that's something.
Yeah, that was his break, and being at the venue, I think the break was 6:55. But when he missed, there was still 7 minutes on the clock. So we think the break was about 38 minutes. And the problem is for the rest of the players, when you ask Dave about it, he doesn't seem to think it's anything other than normal.
So it looks like he's got enough here. He probably would have liked to have been over a bit more for a drop cannon, but he's going to get himself back in prime position again.
Yeah, he's played that at a
It
good
is.
pace. It's quite a small margin of error there to land that perfectly over the middle pocket.
So David's at 180, so the balk-line warning rule comes into play again. Dave at some stage soon will have to get the cue ball
He might have a
in
go
and out
here.
of balk.
Let's go
I think
5
this is
cushions
the
again.
shot. And there it is.
He's actually played that a different way, which I think's safer on these tables. So the 4th cushion is hit there as the top cushion, where it's usually be the side cushion. I think the way these tables are sliding, that might be the way to do it. So again, he's wrestling that white ball a little bit. He's got it
Yep.
pushed off to the side.
He might just land low here to push the Don's ball behind the red spot and just push the red over again, and once again he'll be back into perfect top.
Again, he's recovered it well. So we're told that the scoreboard also next to the table is reading 0, so I think Dave's actually doing really well to carry this break on in the fashion until this problem's sorted out.
This break now would be in the low 200s, I would imagine. And it doesn't look like it's going to stop anytime soon.
I think he forced himself into... Oh, he's just lifted it off. He looked like postman's there. Now he's left the angle again, he's going to play the reload cannon. Run through cannon, slightly covered.
Was it your first time at the RACV, Rob? Or have you played it before?
I actually came here in 2005 with a team of players from England. We played a bit of a friendly match against an Australian team. I think we were one of the first people to play in this room in the way it's currently set up.
Mm-hmm.
About 2005 that it was fully refurbished into the room it is now, and it's a fabulous room. Arguably the best room that we've ever played in anywhere in the world, so it's a pleasure to be here. In fact, the whole club, the whole venue's exceptional.
Yeah, the whole venue's great. Tables are in mint condition.
Speaking to the more senior players, if you like, speaking to Mark Russell the other night, and he's been playing for about 37 years, I believe, and even he's saying that it's the best setup that he's ever seen. And he's played in countries all over the world. So Dave's really got him in good position now. So Dave's soon be reaching the 250 mark. He's certainly one of the players here this week who will be chasing that 1,000 break and the $24,000 bonus that goes with it.
Yes, all cash money.
And Dave loves his money, we know that.
Is he? He's an Englishman. And they don't like spending it either, Rob.
Not sure my bank manager would agree with you there.
It only seems about 5-10 minutes ago when he was on 180 and had to run the cue ball in and out of balk, and if he was on 250 odd a minute ago, he'd be pushing the 280 now, and at some stage you'll have to get into position to run that ball in and out.
I think he made a 464 in his first match this morning at the 10 o'clock session, so big breaks just seem to be rolling off the end of his cue.
He's the form player
272.
at the moment, that's for sure.
Almost every event he ends up seed number 1 after the group stages for the knockout, just purely on his scoring power.
This is the first time I've seen Dave live, and just at the speed that you point out, he might have gone for the balk line crossing then, Rob, but
Not quite sure what the break's on, Robbie, so
Yeah.
I'm not sure if he's on 280 yet.
282.
Obviously you can't cross the book line before.
282. You
So
might
he's
go
just
now,
reached
I'd
it.
say.
He's got to be careful of the corner pocket here.
It's going to be close, I think. I think that's in, Rod.
It's quite unbelievable
So,
just watching today how many times that is happening. The cushions are sliding so much.
oh,
That's a wonderful
great.
double kiss cannon there.
Especially why that white ball was off the cushion by probably an inch or two.
And that's why he played it at such a pace.
He's just got enough on that, and
Yeah, it's good again here. He's just going to pop the red and leave the cross loser from the middle jaws, I think.
yeah, I was saying this is the first time I've seen David play live, and just the speed that he plays is just phenomenal.
Yeah,
He just
it's-
doesn't muck around. I've noticed he just goes to the table and 2 feathers, bang. But
His thinking time in between shots is got to be, you know, he's faster than anybody else. He seems to know what he's going to play, even in the most awkward positions.
300.
So that's triple century there. Just gone over the 300 mark. So again, he'll be thinking about the white ball. He may play the cannon here. Another pot.
this is where he's going to go and play the in off on the white.
I think he's left it a bit wide. I think he played for the enough.
He might have to force one. Oh no, he's going for the red again. Going for the cannon.
A little stun cannon. Yeah, that's worked out well. He'll play white to red here. And I think he'll pop this red to leave the in off from the top jaw. Especially with the white being
Yeah.
up there as well.
Yeah, he'll just follow through here a little bit.
So once he's played this red, he'll have the ultimate position in billiards, really.
Yep.
If he leaves the pot red here, I know it's a bit short for that, I think.
Yeah, I think he might have to go again with the red.
He's trying to get that red back high enough towards bulk to leave him an easy pot, and then he'll go enough white.
I think he might be short again. He might have to go once more, I think. So now if that keeps coming, he'll now play Don's ball, send it just down over the spot and back in business, and the break will continue.
I mean, the way he's approached top of the table there is by far the best and safest way to get to the top. So as most players will know that if you use the drop cannon method, there's always an element of risk there, be it a double kiss or a cover. So the way he's got in at the top here is the ultimate way, really.
Another thing I've noticed, as well as billiards is a very easy game to play when you're commentating. I didn't realise how easy it was.
He certainly makes it look easy.
So he's in a postman's knock position here.
Yeah, the position is in here. I think he's just got to continue playing postmans for a little bit,
There.
which he is doing. That white's pinned to the rail, so it's nice. Right behind the spot as well. He's just got to keep trying to get high enough for the cannon. That looks a little bit thin to me, so he might just catch the edge of this white.
Just push it up a little bit, you think?
Oh, that's a
Or
good
he
shot.
might-
It couldn't have been pinned to the rail to play that.
Some great angles coming up there. Look at the work on that cue ball, but he'll still be okay. He'll just push his ball and just leave the. Well, there you go.
Oh, it's
I
quite
thought
thin.
he just would have gone in and off, just push it up for a drop cannon rod, but
He certainly didn't want to leave the red there, but he's managed to get the white over to it, so He's got away with that one a little bit, I would say.
I think that white's going to come beautifully over the red spot.
He'll go in off this, I think, just to leave another little in off from hand.
360.
Might be a fraction wide. Yeah, he's playing a very slow cannon. He'll play this with drag, definitely. Just to hold the pace.
362.
Nice little follow through there. Not sure if that red's going to be high enough. Yep. Oh, he's going to.
He's playing the white, in off
the
white.
Yeah. Get into position so he can bring that red back into play.
Now, if he's feeling good now, playing off red to leave it near the top spot. If you're not so confident, very tempting to play the cannon in this position, but the in off is the correct shot. He's played it much harder than I thought he was going to, actually. I thought he was going to leave that note on the top slate. He's just about got it back enough. He might have to stun this in and out of vault. Well, nice played the stun cannon. I think there's only Causier who would have played that shot, to be honest.
This is another strength of his game, Rob. Even the open play, I mean, we've already seen what he's like at top, but even his open, but his play is just as strong. You can just seem to work those balls no matter where they are on the table.
Yeah, he's got incredible knowledge. People seem to think that he just crashes the ball around the table at time, but I think if you do it often enough, you learn where the balls are going to go. So
what's he looking at here? He looks at a run through, I think.
I think he's just going to play the thin enough
Is it thin,
and leave,
is it? Yeah.
leave the white on the top cushion for the drop cannon.
He is hard to see here. He must have a little bit. It'll be very fine. Oh no, not as fine as it looked on the screen. He's in a good spot here again.
Okay, so now he's on in the mid 370s, so he'll be starting to think about the ball line crossing right now. He's actually not in great position to try and to leave it on easily, so.
Well, he just pushed that. Oh, what's he going to do? He's going to screw back, is he?
Screw back. If he gets a good contact on the red, like.
80. Fault line warning.
So he's got a little bit of work to do here
Yeah.
for crossing.
382. 385.
He's not in prime position, but he's got no.
He's going to
No
have
problem
to.
here.
He's going to go in off whites here. He's going to have to play a drop cannon at some point, and he's going to be relying on that drop cannon finishing nicely for the pot red. Otherwise, he's going to have a real job to cross the book line. So he's relying on a good roll here.
Yeah, I think he needs for that red to go a bit higher than what it is at the moment, but
He's going to try and stun this round, I think. Yeah, that's good
Wow.
cueing.
you know, and there's not much angle there, Rob, to play, but where the white ball's sitting, I mean, he really only had to get it just in and out.
Yeah, as long as he was on the the left-hand
Right
side
side,
of the
yeah.
table, then he always had the cannon, so
94.
he's got round the problem well. So it's looking like a very big break, this. I think that's very close to 400 now, if it's not 400.
That's 400.
400.
I think the spectators are getting a bit of a treat here, and because he really doesn't like stopping anytime soon. Still 17 minutes to go, and if he's to stay at the table for the next 17 minutes,
Could be
Well,
he
you're probably
could be the
looking-
thick end of 700 here with Dave. In full flow, he'll be making 100 maybe every 5 to 6 minutes. So a nice thin pot there. He's tried to get back across the table, but it's fell a bit short.
he's hit this red.
He may
Bit
stun this.
thin.
Nice check to that, was a good shot. So at the minute he's just floating the balls around at the top of the table. He's not nailed on in great position, but he's just floating them around and keeping them pretty easy. So here's left a
I think he
could
looks
be like a
better than-
thick 3/4 ball cannon if he fancies playing that, which he has done. Try and get them together.
All he might be covered, is he? I think he is, but oh no, he looks like. Oh no, you're going to play a run through. Thought he might have been snookered. Oh well.
That's a nice shot. That's actually very difficult with the rest when the balls are that close together. Very easy to push that ball.
So
He's going to try and play this with deft touch.
427.
Yeah, he's got them good again. His recovery game is exceptional. By far the best in the world. Doesn't seem phased at all when he's out of position. So the white ball now is his issue. He's just going to figure out how he's going to get that back towards the red. So I think he's going to play
So
in
what
off
you
from the middle spot.
Oh, so yeah.
I'm not sure
What
the
do you
enough
think?
yellows on. It's the
Oh,
white.
The white. It,
The white's still the problem here. He's doing what he can
he's
to
pushing
promote
it
that.
down, and it all depends on how this finishes.
It's actually finished really well. I'd never suggest anybody playing the 5-shot actually in that position, but it's fallen nice for him.
448.
So he's off and running again here.
Yeah, you were saying Rob Harry's recovery. I mean, you know, he was in a tight spot there for a little while, but as you say, the way he gets back into position, you know, this white will be coming back over the spot. He probably would have liked to have hit that red on the right hand side just to push the red over, but
It's been an exceptional break really, because there's maybe only been 100 or so points where he's been in absolutely fantastic position. He's fought really hard for this break.
his first instinct was to push the white ball down and play a drop cannon, but now he's changed to.
461.
Oh, he needs a little bit of help here. He needs a little bit of help here.
I think maybe his first option may have been better, Rob, but
460.
it's a bit rich from a first-time championship player like myself just to say what Dave Causier should have played.
453.
So
Just missed there,
Easy to
a
say.
big break, mid 400s. Oh, Don's been
Don's-
incredibly unlucky there. How he's not found the cannon
he
in that
might,
corner.
yeah, was a little bit unlucky there.
So David will play a little PK in off here. He's played at a great pace. Quite a difficult pace control on those, so. So he's going to try and get this somewhere near the centre spot, just to drop onto the cannon. Leave the red near the left-hand top pocket.
8.
He's pushed it from one cushion to another cushion, so in off red.
I think that's going to finish up quite nice for a drop cannon. Never seems to be in any trouble.
He's just thinking about the red here. He's just making sure that that red finishes in a position he can score from it. Bit of a surprise miss. I actually thought he was going to pop that and go back over to the opposite middle pocket to leave the in off, but
John's got a tight one here on the cushion, but I think you'd like a starter from here. That looks like a half ball cannon. You sort of want that when your ball's tucked tight on the rail, Rob.
yeah, difficult when you start on the rail.
Yeah.
You can't put any, other than topspin, you can't put any side on it, so you can't manipulate the angles at all from there.
I think Don might be a bit unlucky. I think he's got a cover. I don't think he can go in off that red. I wouldn't think so. So
He'll maybe play the
may
screwing off into the middle. If not, it'll be a run through.
and I don't think that red's close enough to the jaw for him to come off the side rail for an in off.
Oh, he's coming off the bulk cushion, I think.
I think he is.
I'm not sure this is on.
Oh, he's going up and down the table.
He's got to hit this
he's
perfectly.
He's putting on an exhibition shot, Don, and
he's got a load of unwanted side on that. I think that's a little bit of frustration from not leaving anything.
I think he's just unlucky that he got covered there, because I mean, had he not been covered, he would have had a red, over the going to set him up. But yeah, he would have had a nice easy red there, and but that's billiards. They don't always run, do they, Rob?
No, I was just looking at how Dave played that. It's a lot of players are playing that a lot slower these days to leave the white around the pyramid spot or for the drop cannon, but he just got it far enough back to leave a stunning off.
That's going to be just about perfect.
It's good pace control.
6.
So unlike a lot of lesser players, shall we say, the top players always try and, in that position, leave the drop cannon as soon as possible.
8.
A lot of your more average club players would be trying to string the in-offs in the centre pocket for as long as possible. Mainly because they're not confident at the top of the table.
11. 13.
I think Dave's around about the 900 points now.
16.
I've actually seen Dave score over 1,300 in 90 minutes in the Irish Open once. And I think he scored 1,000 in an hour before.
That's good going. That would have had to have been a lot of top. He wouldn't have been too much open play in that one, I wouldn't have thought.
There's no other player on the tour at the minute that's capable of doing that. There's only Dave. There is one player that doesn't play now who is also incredibly quick, Chris Schutz, another guy from Teesside. He's a fabulous player to watch.
30.
I think it was 2009 when I watched him in the World Final against Mike Russell at the Northern Snooker Centre in Leeds. After the first 2.5 hours, Mike was in excess of 800 in front. And the end, Mike ended up winning on the last visit of the match, where I think he made a 200 and finish. I think Chris got within about 50 points of him at the end towards the end of that match. Absolutely dominated the second session. And I remember Mark saying in his winner's speech at the end that at the interval he's already preparing his winner's speech. So he really didn't expect to get pulled back by Chris, but it's a real shame Chris is not playing actually. I saw him a few months ago and he's well.
Is there any reason why he couldn't make it, Rob?
I think it was his a work issue. A lot of his work meant working weekends, so unfortunately it meant that he couldn't play in a lot of the events. But that's a nice touch there from Dave.
Beautiful.
Slow shot, maximum side.
So I think it'd be about 7 minutes, I think, to go left in this match, and I can just see David just 6.5 actually. He'll just go about his business for the remainder of that time, you'd think.
That's also a nice shot. He had to be very accurate into that white to get the full ball kiss.
I think he might have just rolled that white on the red spot.
Yeah, he's
So
covered
he's
it.
going to cross loser and
Be a little series of in-offs here, I think. He's left to show. He's going for the drop cannon straight away. So again, you've got to hit this red pretty accurately.
Dave just now just hit the 1,000 point mark.
70.
Yep.
It's a good pot there from Dave. He plays that shot very well. It's really not as easy as what it makes it look. I wouldn't be surprised if this break goes unfinished.
Oh yeah.
So now he's just received the baulk line warning. He's got to get this red in the position to leave himself the pot. He may play a thinner than normal cannon here to leave it. So
We
here
might
he
see
is
it
going
here, I
to
reckon.
he's going to have to watch the 6 shot again. Oh, he's got deep enough. That's a good shot. It's a good shot. Cross the baulk line. He's back in perfect position.
I think you're right, Rob. I think he's going to see out the next 4 minutes of this match, and could he get to 200?
He could if he needed to. I think he's just going to be happy to see the break go here. When you're making 4, 5 and 600s, chasing 200s pretty low on the radar, I would say. So we'll be playing the cannon here, pushing the white onto the top cushion and back off towards the red spot. He's going to try. He's under hit that a bit, I would say. I think he wanted to be back off the side of the cushion more than that.
After this, try to be back prime position again for top.
Yeah, I think the white's going to be close to the top rail, but he won't be worried about that too much.
Do you know if Dave's got any more matches tonight, Rob, or will he be starting
No,
to
he's-
conserve his energy from here on?
Yeah, no, he's done for today. This is his second match of the day, so he was on at 10 o'clock this morning. I think he's on at 2 o'clock, maybe tomorrow.
You can't see David breaking down from here.
No, he's
In the next
not
couple of
going
minutes,
to
I think
miss. He's not going to miss from here, I don't think.
What'd you say, Rob?
It's the commentator's curse. You'll never forgive me.
I think this might be your last gig on the commentary.
Hey, if I can make people miss from here, I'm happy.
Don't want to be pleased to get an easy starter with 1.5 minutes left to go in the match.
So
You'll probably start getting into the swing of things.
So 4
You
figures
probably
on the
push that a bit.
scoreboard from Dave, so another very, very heavy score. He's actually got a very tough group. He's in a group with Pankaj Yadvani, who's current IBSF 150 up champion, the winner of the long format title several times as well. So
It was a tough group.
whoever loses that match between Pankaj and Dave will be very much a loose cannon in the knockout draw, and certainly not a player anybody's going to want to get in the last 16 or last 8 of the event. But the only bonus for those two players, Dave and Pankaj, is once they've played each other in the group, they can't actually play each other again until the final. So there are two sides to the story.
4.
I think Don might get this last shot in.
Some buzzers going off in the room, so we're very close now to being time.
I think that might be about it. It's been a pleasure, Rob, commentating with you, and I wish you best for the rest of the week, mate.
Thank you, Robbie. Yeah, it was a good match. It was a good match to commentate on. Nice 400 plus from Dave.
Heavy scoring, and
It's like a juggernaut at the minute. It's going through everybody like a knife through butter. So.
Yes. Will you not let win? You were involved in it. Sorry? No. Some other time. I was waiting for your break to finish. You go and get a fixed type thing, etc. And you played brilliantly. Thank you.
I'm George Taylor. I'm Managing Director of Alcock's, the most well-known billiard table company in Australia. Henry Alcock arrived in Melbourne in 1853 and shortly thereafter set up a little cabinet making shop in Fitzroy. They've been here in Melbourne making billiard tables for 160 years. Today, most of the traditional major clubs have a billiard room, and the billiard room features an Alcock table. We are producing a product that stands quite happily on the world stage. This game is so demanding that precision is a very, very important factor. It has an important bearing on which timbers are selected for the making of a billiard table. It has a very important bearing on the jointing of those timbers as the table is put together. It has a very important bearing on the way we treat the issue of the billiard table slate. We have developed ourselves machinery particularly focused on the question of making sure that the billiard table slate is ground and honed to a higher level than you'll find anywhere else in Australia. The cushion work must be carried out so that the height of the cushion is exactly what is required for the size of the ball. The pocket openings of the cushions have also got to be adhered to strictly. Even the cloth is fitted in the traditional way, which is the correct way if you're going to play a high level or a championship level of English billiards or snooker. Our family company, which is Australian owned and operated, is producing a level of product that not only is regarded as the best in Australia, but is regarded highly right throughout the billiards and snooker world.